Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining today. Welcome to the second of our webinars in the series today. And today we're very excited to bring this short webinar to you on the future of ID. It's very excited to bring this new product which is called ID as a service, which is generally known as IDaaS for short. We're very excited to be bringing this to the market with our global partner, Entrust. Everybody knows the world is on a relentless march to become more and more digital. We see it all around us, and that is always going to be something that continues and increases. And this product is a great product to allow you to offer an ID solution for this, whilst protecting your ongoing revenue stream, as well as allowing your users to use a hybrid of a physical card, as they may always have done, and a digital FlashPass ID on their phone. So ID as a service allows the seamless issuance of a digital FlashPass ID to a mobile device. This is extremely useful for many applications. And if required, this can also be together with a physical personalized plastic card as well. So you don't have to have just a FlashPass, you don't have to have just the physical card. With ID as a service, it allows you to issue either or both. Following issuance, the FlashPass sits in the user's Google or Apple Pay wallet and will operate just like a physical card with a personalized user details and a barcode which can be unique to that FlashPass. A phase 2 development, which is also being actively worked on currently, will utilize the smartphone's NFC capabilities to allow the use of the FlashPass as a smart card with leading brands of access control readers, which will massively enhance its usability and really bringing it into that access control sphere as well. As this webinar proceeds, please feel free to add any questions on the chat below. These will only be shared to the panelists, and we will hold a question and answer session at the end. And now I'm going to hand over to my colleague Jagdish, who is after quickly introducing the agenda for what we're going to be doing today. So it's going to be a brief webinar, and it's going to cover what Instant ID as a service actually is. It's going to cover how it works, and then it's going to dive into a little bit more detail on how it works for users, and then point 4, how it works for resellers, and finally, how to get started. So over to you, Jagdish.
Great. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for that. And again, to the panel, thank you so much for all the audience. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to listen to this new product that we are bringing to market. Really excited to be working with Ingenia on this solution. As I mentioned earlier, the world is going digital. The world is going cloud. Cloud brings a lot of advantages to the traditional software market. The end customer or the enterprise customer does not have to basically install any software. They love the cloud solution because they constantly get updates. There are no SMAs. And really the cloud drives this mantra of any credential design from anywhere on any device. You don't have to be tethered to a network. You don't have to be basically on a VPN to issue a credential. As Luke mentioned, essentially what really happens with our cloud solution is that it allows an enterprise, an administrator, to essentially issue a credential in the physical domain through a Sigma printer, Western class Sigma printer, or it allows you to simultaneously issue a digital credential that can be claimed on the Apple Wallet or the Google Pay app. Now, what that really means is that you are harnessing the power of technology giants. You are storing the digital credential in the secure element of the phone. You are enabling an end user to have essentially access to his or her credential in a device that is probably almost always on them. Think about the number of times that you are issued a physical badge and you forget to get your badge, and you basically do not go home and get the badge. But with a digital credential, it's with you, it's on the phone, and you always have your phone with you. So the other thing that the digital credential does is that you can issue it from any device. You can essentially, with a cloud solution, you can basically access the cloud solution through a traditional desktop PC, through a mobile PC, or even through a mobile device. And so you can really start looking at ways for an enterprise organization, your customers, to interact with their clients wherever they are, and it's instantly usable. So think about a situation where you've got a remote workplace, employees are being enrolled. Sometimes you never even meet the employee before you're enrolling them, and you're trying to issue them a digital credential or a credential. In this particular case, the organization can send them an email with their digital credential, and the employee can claim that digital credential instantaneously. So no longer are you constrained by the boundaries of space and time. This is truly a differentiator, and really the possibilities are limitless. So we are really excited to be offering this solution and coupled with the Sigma printer, which we say is born in the cloud. So go to the next slide. The software as itself, the whole interface, the user interface for the cloud solution is really, really intuitive. It's a simple drag and drop design. You can create as an enterprise customer extremely simple or extremely sophisticated designs. You can essentially insert images or new photos. You can do a bulk enrollment of all of the employees from your organization into the cloud, and you can selectively issue physical credentials to some, digital credentials to the others, or digital and physical credentials to some or all of them. You have the ability with the cloud not only to issue credentials, but also to status monitor. So you can understand when a digital credential is being claimed, when it has been issued. You have the ability to basically put QR codes or barcodes. You can capture photographs, you can import data, and really you have the power of essentially having the entire solution at your fingertips from anywhere in the world. So today in a COVID-dominated world, we see many of our enterprise customers essentially having a fleet of printers that can be scattered around the organization. The administrator probably is somebody that does not go into the office, but he or she can basically be interfacing with the cloud from their home, not tethered on a VPN. They can essentially simply import data, and they can design extremely sophisticated credentials and print credentials in the physical domain or issue digital credentials. And those digital credentials can be instantaneously provisioned to the mobile devices of their employees. So this is extremely, extremely powerful. Like I said, it has extremely sophisticated features. We can essentially replicate the so-called impression, a tactile impression in the physical domain with a watermark in a digital watermark in the digital domain, so we can add added levels of security. And best of all, for the enterprise customers, it's an extremely simple setup. There is no maintenance. You have a consistent interface across all the platforms. You can access the enterprise customer can access it from Windows PC, a Mac OS, Android, or iOS. And really, you have essentially a universal software that works essentially for the issuance industry in almost any different type of application. So we are excited about it. We've launched the solution last year, and our partners, customers, and their customers are really excited. And we can see the usage of this solution continually doubling every month. So this is essentially something that resonates with customers as they look essentially at moving more and more of their IT applications to the cloud. Go to the next slide. Let's spend a little bit of time talking a little bit about the digital flash pass. It has essentially all of the functionality and the security of a card. And that essentially what that means is you can put images, you can put essentially name, you can put a company logo, you can put an ID number, date of birth, or any other information that you want on the digital card. You can essentially also put a QR code or a barcode, which could basically be an employee ID number. You can put whatever field you want into the QR code or the barcode. You can tie that information back to a backend database And now you essentially have a digital credential that is essentially claimed on the secure element of an Android or iOS device. So it's added level of security. Obviously, as we said earlier, and we repeat, it's instantaneously. So waste-free issuance, you can basically put it on an iOS device. And more importantly, you have the ability then to include links to websites, customer care or app. The enterprise is kind of reaching out and touching its employees at any given point in time, building that communication, building that relationship with their customers or their employees. This is powerful. And what we are trying to do right now is, as we go on with the cloud solution, we have the ability from Entrust perspective to push new updates to the cloud. So we are now looking at mobile device management, which means that once the credential is issued, we also have the ability, we are looking at integrating the ability to manage the credential in real time. So for example, we can basically expire the credential after a certain period of time. We can allow the issuer to change information on the credentials, so push updates to the credential. And so really kind of create that dynamic experience that an employer can always basically have with their employee. So for example, if the employer decides that they're going to put an employee title on the credential, and the employee title changes from, just say, sales executive to sales director, in the physical domain, they would have to issue a new credential. In the digital domain, now you can just seamlessly push that information up to the digital domain. This feature is going to come into the software in a couple of months. So really, the digital domain gives you the ability as a partner to sell a solution that's truly transformative, that's truly disruptive, but it's a solution that your customers, the enterprises, are looking for, they want, they embrace it. And we are seeing that in the dramatic rise in the number of mobile credentials that are being issued on our solution today. So this is not just something that we are pushing, but this is a solution that the market wants. And you as a partner will have the ability to push the solution and build a strong annuity revenue stream for yourself while delivering value for your end customers. We go to the next slide. So as you start looking at the solution, you need to be comfortable in this solution, being able to meet the needs of your customers. And keep in mind that while we've taken this solution, we will offer this solution now for about 6 months, actually close to 9 months right now in the issuance space. This is actually built on a very mature platform that Entrust has been offering for the last 4 years in other application markets. This platform is built for scale. So you, unlike in the on-premise solution where you're looking at how many printers can I connect, how many end users can I have, how many licenses do I have, all of those kind of considerations go out the window with cloud. The cloud can scale up as an organization grows, or it can scale down as an organization maybe, for example, consolidates. It is truly an organization, an application that is truly elastic. It expands the contracts with the needs of your customers. So this is something that you have to look at cloud and say, enterprises do not have to plan ahead. They do not have to say, well, I'm going to grow and I need to have this many licenses or I need to add licenses. This is something you just basically get onto the cloud, you use it, and you just pay for your usage basis. The data is in the cloud. So essentially you as a partner have access to automation of reports and analytics. Your enterprise customers will basically also have access to data that they can see their usage. They can see the number of credentials that they've issued, the number of credentials that have been claimed in the digital domain. So really it starts to help them essentially become more intelligent in the way that they issue credentials and in the way they manage credentials. And you essentially as a partner can now essentially have access to real-time data that you can look at your customers and say how many credentials they are being issued, and then essentially tie that back into, hey, if they're issuing this many physical credentials, do I basically need to understand what is their supply consumption And can I plan for that? So this entire ability to have access to data helps you to basically make a lot more intelligent decisions, not just in credential management, but in inventory management, supply chain, and the way that you work with your customers. And really, for an enterprise customer, this is now all about streamlining their workflows. You can have automated processes to import the data to the cloud. You can run queries, and really you can essentially take the headache out of issuing credentials, make it essentially a seamless process that works in the background, works all the time, works every time. And fundamentally, you're going to basically look at, when you're talking to your customers about cloud, the first question that they will come up with as they look at the solution and they understand it is about security. And really, you've got to understand that Entrust is a leader, a global leader in the security space. We essentially have cut our teeth on basically protecting and securing data. We provide security for many of the leading government organizations in the US and around the world. We provide security in industries like the healthcare space. We provide solutions in diverse applications. And really what we do is we look and we basically build our pedigree on security. In the cloud solution, all the data that is stored in the cloud is always encrypted. The data that is transmitted between the cloud and the printers is always encrypted using TLS 1.2 encryption, AES 256-bit encryption. And in the physical domain, the data is never stored in the printer. The data gets to the printer, it's issued on a card, and it's destroyed from the printer. Our printers are secure IoT devices. That means that the printers are trusted, are secured, hardened, and they are treated as trusted endpoints. What that means is the entire architecture is designed to be a secure architecture. And we are constantly doing security scans. We're trying to make sure there are no vulnerabilities, either in the printer, in the cloud, or in the entire network. You all know the saying, right? The strength of a chain is the strength of the weakest link. And we're trying to make sure that when our solution is implemented, there are no weak links. So we do our best. We constantly do internal scans. We engage with third-party security companies to do secure scans. And we try and identify vulnerabilities in the architecture, vulnerabilities in the solution. And whenever we find one, we make sure we try and fix it. So really, security is at the heart of everything that we do. And that's sort of the Entrust motto of securing data and a world in motion. So we go to the next slide. I think we'll just turn it over to a video right now.
Hello, I'm Roscoe from Ingenia. We're here today to talk about how Instant ID as a Service works for its users. There are a few setup steps, but it's only a one-time process which will allow instant issue of printed and digital identification. There are three main steps. Step 1 is to get your Instant ID as a Service account up and running. Step 2 is to set up your Google and Apple accounts so you can issue instant passes. Step 3 is to connect up your Sigma printers that you want to use. Entrust have comprehensive guides for each step of your process and will be on hand for any technical queries you or your customers may have. You can access these through their website or even within the application itself. You will need developer accounts for Apple and Google App Stores, which once connected will allow you to seamlessly notify customers and distribute a digital pass to them. Your Sigma printers will need configuring once connected to your network, after which you'll be able to run off a card or batch from wherever you are. Once your ID as a Service account is active, you can sign into it and apply branding, add your details and start working on your card templates. The platform offers you an overview and control of your print network, monitoring status, supply levels, firmware updates, and will even allow supplies to be ordered with a single click. With everything in place, it's time to start issuing ID, memberships, gift cards, tickets, and more. You can connect to the cloud platform via the Entrust login page using your device of choice. It offers the same range of functionality you have through the local version of the software, such as taking or inserting photographs, importing data, or assigning user numbers. Once your customer's account has been created, it's a simple few clicks to send a card to your Sigma. This can be located anywhere in the world or right next to you. And then a digital flash pass is just as easy. The customer will be notified via email, which they will click through from to receive the flash pass in their digital wallet. The flash pass can be easily scanned or shown for access, and is usable even without a network connection. Control of the pass's validity is entirely in your hands, and digital access can be instantly rescinded or renewed if necessary. The entire process is quick, simple and impressive, and will be there every step of the way if you have any issues. We're really excited to see the great things that you can do with Instant ID as a service, and would really appreciate your feedback on it. For more information, please reach out to us by phone or email or ask below, and the guys will get to it before the end of the webinar. Thank you for watching.
Hello, I'm Sven. Thank you, Roscoe, for that inspiring introduction to ID as a service software, showing it in action. We wanted to send each of you a takeaway from this webinar. And if you check your email on your smartphone following this call, you can download your own flash pass. We've sent each of you an email with a link so you can download your own flash pass. Please feel free to do this after the call. You'll be able to add it to your Google Wallet and see how it sits alongside your bank cards. It will be personalized to you. So this slide here shows how the system works for the reseller, just as well as it works for the scheme operator. I can see there's a lot of resellers on this call, and I'm sure you're all wondering about how it would work for you, how you'd sign up your customers and manage your customers. And so what happens is you become a managed service provider, a sub-managed service provider, and you're able to sign up tenants to that portal, your portal, and manage their usage of it. So this slide here shows how the system works for you as the reseller, just as much as the scheme operator who issues the flash passes for their use of their customers. Any reseller signed up to the system will make a managed service provider where they'll be able to manage their own tenants. This means that you can sign up your own tenant customers and manage their access. The system works through a monthly subscription charge per tenant. So a tenant is a scheme operator, to cover the technical support that we will operate here from Bristol. And there is an additional click charge per pass issued. Clayton is now going to talk us through the various options available to the scheme operator. Welcome, Clayton.
Thank you, Sven. Good afternoon, all. We can move to the next slide, please. Thank you. This slide gives you an overview of the capabilities that ID as a service currently offers and will also have in the future. The scheme operator, as Sven mentioned, can use ID as a service to issue credentials only as a mobile flash pass. However, if they purchase a Sigma printer, they can simultaneously produce a physical card as well as the mobile flash pass. Using the Sigma desktop card printer range, you can use the software to not only print a barcode photo ID card, but also encode a magstripe or RFID chip, together with issuing the digital flash pass to the user's phone. Coming by the end of Q4 this year will be the ability to use ID as a service to issue a mobile credential that is smart. This will mean that the mobile credential flash pass will be able to communicate with readers from leading access control providers. Furthermore, using the software development team of Entrust in combination with our own technical support team in-house here at Ingenia, we are able to offer any scheme operator total flexibility as to how the system works and how it is customized to integrate with their existing systems. No scheme is the same, and we can make ID as a service work for a gift card scheme from a retailer's website just as much as a scheme operator issuing ID cards. We're currently onboarding a retailer who will use the platform for issuance of staff ID cards with rewards, all via a personalized barcode flash pass, so that it is a truly flexible platform in what it can be used for. The flash pass is customized to the particular design requirements of the scheme operator to match the physical credential issued. So the next slide, please. Please reach out to your account manager to get started with your IDaaS as a service journey, to discuss the commercials and gain access to all the support that you need, including personalized marketing material. We'll be sending out full details, including marketing assets, images, and info sheets to you shortly, which you can use to promote ID as a service yourself. We'll be shortly in touch with you about a 30-day free trial option that you can also take up, which will be rolled out to everybody that has joined this webinar today. Thank you very much, and I'll now hand back to Luke.
Thank you, Clayton. That's excellent. We've had quite a number of questions coming in, so we will try and answer as many as we can, and any that we can't answer now because of time restraints, we'll send around afterwards as a Q&A sheet. But we've got an interesting question here. Someone is asking, can the flash pass be any design that we want? Jagdish, could you answer that one?
Great question. So the mobile static ID really is basically a solution that is incorporated in the Apple Wallet or the Google Pay app. So we typically have to conform to certain requirements that Apple and Google set up. So the ability, you have freedom and flexibility on about 7 to 8 different fields that you can put into the solution. You have the ability to put photographs. You have the ability to choose a background color, and you can change that background color depending on whether it's a student versus a staff ID. You can't put a background photo on it, but you can basically put an employee photograph inside in the flash pass. So there are certain restrictions that Apple and Google set, and we work within them. The trade-off is that you don't really need to download a third-party app to issue the credentials. So there are certain limitations, but it provides a broad set of conformity in the apps, in the digital static IDs that you're issuing. So the short answer to your question is you don't have complete freedom, but you have got a high degree of flexibility in what you can input into the card.
That's great. Thanks, Jagdish. So another question, again, around the flash pass is if someone already has a card management solution that they're using, can this be integrate the print workflow from the system so that the print request is paired to the design within the card printer, and then producing a digital flash pass from there?
Without understanding the details of the workflow, I want to say that yes, but we need to look at it more, because what will typically happen is, yes, if people have a card management system today, we could basically do bulk imports of data from that card management system into the cloud. And basically, then you can issue a digital credential through the cloud. We are working actively on external repository support, and again, trying to make the process a lot more streamlined. But yes, you can issue today a digital flash pass that can be designed and what we would call a data-driven design, so that students could have a different flash pass design than maybe an employee, than a staff member. But let's talk a little bit more about that and see exactly what you're looking to achieve.
Yes, that's great. Yeah, thank you. There's a few questions around how the payment model works, which we can answer very simply. So basically, there's a small subscription fee, which is a monthly fee. It's not very much, and that covers the ongoing running of it and any support that you or your client, if you're a reseller, need at any point. And we have a full support backup available at any time here at Bristol. So we can support with anything like that. And then on top of that is a very small charge, which is a matter of a few pence, which is per digital flash pass issued. So if you're a reseller, you can choose what you then pass that price per flash pass issued onto your end user client app. That's your choice. And that same price applies if you are to print the card physically through a Sigma printer. So it is very, very cost effective, but at the same time, it protects the reseller revenue stream, even if a digital pass is produced. So it's an excellent system, and it is designed with both the reseller and the end user in mind. So we've got another question here. If I issue a flash pass, can I issue a QR code or a barcode, and can it be unique on each flash pass, even if I issue a physical card with it? And the answer to that is yes, you can. It can be a QR code or a barcode, and it can be unique to your flash pass. And if you want your physical card to match it, you can provide that with a matching barcode as well. You can always issue a flash pass or a physical card without the other. It's not that you have to do both at once. You can do one or the other at any time, and there's no problems with doing that technologically. It's purely the choice of the user.
If I might add one thing to that, if you don't mind, hello.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. So what, and this is critical. So when you create your credential, and I use the word credential basically to be agnostic to whether it's physical or digital, you will put certain information that you want or certain fields that you want in that credential. Generally, the name, the photo. Most organizations will have some sort of a unique identifier, probably an employee ID number that they will put on the credential. And that employee ID number can then be encoded and put into a QR code or a barcode that then ties up into the backend database. So obviously this QR code will then be a QR representation of the employee ID number. It will be unique to every credential. And that's the type of linkage between the credential and your backend database. So as Luke Vesna mentioned, the QR code or the barcode will be unique to every credential. At the same time, it will be the same QR code or the barcode that appears in the physical and in the digital domain. Now, you're not limited to only an employee ID number being on the QR code or barcode. You can tie it up to some other field, but that is generally the common practice in the industry, is to tie it up to some unique identifier for every record.
Thank you, Jagdish. That's very helpful. So another question for you there, Jag. Does a flash pass have to be issued from a desktop computer device or laptop, or can it be issued from a phone?
No, yes, it can be issued. It can be issued from a phone. It can be issued anywhere. Yes, it's purely cloud. So as soon as you can access the cloud solution, you can issue the credential.
That's great.
You can, yeah.
Yeah. And can you personalize the email message is another question. So when you're issuing a flash pass, can you send out a personalized email message with it?
Yes. So, I mean, and that requires a little bit of sophistication. You can go out and configure the server, and you can basically choose that ability. We can work with you on how to configure a server, and essentially and figure out how to send that. But yes, in theory, you can configure the message. And we can, I mean, there is detailed online help to how to configure the email server. But yes, that can be done.
So is that allowing the user to configure the message uniquely to each one they issue, or would they set up a template and then use that?
They set up a template.
Yeah, sure. But there's no limit to how many templates they can set up, is there?
I think, right. I need to look into that one. That's why I don't have an answer.
Jagdish, do you want me to get that one?
Yes, Mehdi. Yeah.
Yeah, so there is a specific template for emailing the flash pass to the end user. Okay, within that template, there are a few variables that can be customized that will be specific for each email that it's sent to the end user, so that it would have maybe it would take some of the variables of the specific user, like maybe the name or the last name or some other parameter that is specific to that user, and insert it into that template. But the specific template is unique for every for the flash pass sending. Let's say.
Thank you, Mehdi. That's very helpful.
Sure.
So another question we have here is if a client already has an existing card and membership system, how could the flash pass be meshed in with that? And how would it work if they had a mag stripe or RFID capability that they're already using on their existing system?
So if you have an existing system today, chances are that this enterprise is issuing a physical card. So the way that they would work in the digital domain would basically be to import the relevant pieces of information into the cloud and issue the digital credential. That you can import the logo, you can have a logo, you can design the digital credential so that the digital flash pass would complement the physical. Which means that for the people using the loyalty pass or this retail card, they would have a physical card in their wallets or their purses, and they would have a digital credential in the cloud or on their phone. So basically, the short answer to your question is you would basically create a complement to the physical.
Okay, yeah, sure. What about if they have a magnetic stripe or RFID?
Yeah, so the magnetic stripe, so obviously the phone does not essentially have mag stripe capabilities. As you mentioned in your presentation, we are working to incorporate smart card capabilities encoding into the cloud solution. So through the cloud, you will first be able to send information and to the smart card or the chip in the physical credentials. And then at some point in time, we are working essentially to allow the credential to talk to the NFC radio or the Bluetooth radio in the phone. That requires us to get permission from the Apple ecosystem. Obviously, so that's basically when you talk about a mobile digital smart credential. So magstripe is something that does not exist in the digital domain. It's purely a physical feature, but essentially looking at your digital credential interfacing with a Bluetooth or an NFC radio is something that's on the roadmap.
But if they were using the system and they were issuing a physical card
with magstripe,
they could do that through the Sigma printer, couldn't they?
Yes, they can do the physical, and they can definitely replicate that. They can replicate the issuance of the physical through the Sigma printer. Yes.
Yeah, and they would be able to issue a simultaneous flash pass if they wish to, but obviously it would be with a barcode and not with magstripe encoding.
That is correct. Yes.
Excellent. So another question: can you personalize the homepage and software for a reseller's customer? So when the end user is using it, they see their own personalized homepage.
Yes.
Explain a bit about that.
Yeah. So every enterprise that logs into the cloud solution can personalize the homepage. So what that means is, and at the master level, Entrust essentially has its cloud solution. When we provision Ingenia as a partner and an MSP will basically be able to customize the look and feel of primarily the color scheme and the logo, and even a welcome message for all of Ingenia's partners. So when Ingenia's partners log out in Ingenia solution, they will see the Ingenia branding. When Ingenia provisions any of you reseller partners as tenants or as MSPs, you will then have the ability to customize the page to your brand and to your color scheme. And then when you provision a tenant on the cloud solution, they will essentially have the ability to go out and customize the solution. So Ingenia can provision reseller partner XYZ as an MSP. Reseller partner XYZ can customize the solution. When reseller partner XYZ sells it to University of Bristol, University of Bristol can customize the look and feel of it, can put University of Bristol's logo, so that any admin on the University of Bristol campus, when they log into the cloud solution, they will see the University of Bristol logo, and they will basically be able to issue credentials from the University of Bristol site. And more importantly, let's say there's a super admin at the University of Bristol, they can use the cloud solution to communicate with all of the local admins of the university. So they can put a message that says, hey, because of a rainstorm or thunderstorm, the campus is going to be closed. There is a So there's a field to put a message of the day so that people can communicate with each other. But every tenant has the ability to customize it to a certain degree with their color scheme and their logo.
That's excellent. Thank you, Jagdish. So in summary, it is highly customizable, and the end user can more or less have their software branded exactly how they want it, which is a great feature, and I'm sure something that will be very much expected and demanded from end users. So it really is a fantastic package, and overall ID as a service is going to be an ongoing development project, isn't it? There's lots of exciting new features in the pipeline, including, as been alluded to, the meshing in with access control systems, which will be a really amazing thing. And all of these things are well on in development. So what you see today is a really accomplished solution, but in a year's time, 6 months' time, as time goes on, it will be further enhanced and become more and more versatile. And the other thing to remember is that although it has ID in the name, it's not necessarily have to be used for ID. It can be used for membership. It can be used for anything that requires a barcode, which so many membership schemes use a barcode. And it allows your customers or the end user to issue that physical card or flash pass to their clients according to which they prefer, or maybe they prefer both. So it's not just limited to ID. It's anything that uses a barcode, it can be used for. It's a really versatile system. So we'd like to thank everyone for joining today. There is more questions, but we don't want to take up too much of your time. And remember that if you'd like to rewatch the video featured earlier, you can find it on our dedicated Ingenia Intelligent Connections YouTube channel. And thank you again, everybody. We look forward to seeing you and speaking with you all again soon. Thank you very much for joining.
Yes, and from the Entrust team, again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for supporting the solution. And to the Ingenia team, thank you again for facilitating this webinar. Really excited about it.